First off, today is your first webinar, which is the back-end webinar, and we'll be focusing on the settings in your account as well as entering inventory. We'll go through a more detailed agenda in just a minute. Afterwards, your second step will be to attend the front-end webinar, which will focus more on day-to-day operations like sales and inventory management. Finally, the last step will be a one-on-one consultation, which is optional, to consult with an implementation specialist in a one-on-one setting for any software questions that you might have related to Lightspeed R Series. Finally, you'll be able to go live with the system and attend training for any add-ons that you might have purchased, such as e-com, loyalty, or analytics. Let's take a look at today's agenda. We're going to start talking a little bit about some essentials. We'll start with Lightspeed payments and some details about that if you plan on applying for it, and then looking into the account at how to set up employees and some general settings, your taxes, and your discounts. The second part of the webinar will focus on inventory, such as how to add categories, how to create items, and how to import through a spreadsheet. We will finish with a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, but feel free throughout the webinar to send in any questions that you have through the question box, and we will answer you right away. Let's start with Lightspeed payments. These are just some reminders to fill out your application and documents that you may need, such as a void check, plant later, a lease agreement, a business license, an incorporation date, a business federal tax ID, a business address, driver's license, and banking information. Feel free to screenshot this if you need, and if you have any other questions about Lightspeed payments in general, please reach out to your account executive and they can give you some more details. Let's start with how to log into Lightspeed Retail. First up, you want to open up a browser. Ideally, you want to use either Google Chrome or Firefox, as they are the best supported for Lightspeed Retail. Once you open up a page, let's search Lightspeed R Series Login. Then you want to click on the login page located on the top here. And you're going to select the first option, Retail POS R Series, and click Login. From here, you can type in your username, which is your email address, as well as your password. We'll verify that I am a human and log in. Okay, and from here, let's take a look at the first button at the bottom left corner, which is the Help button. In here, you're going to get a lot of information. The first one is we have a bar here called Search the Help Center, which is made for you to look up any information or any questions that you have about the system. Let's say, for example, you want to know how to make a sale, or you'd like to train your staff and have a quick guide on how to do so. We'll go type in make a sale and search. And this will guide you into our Help Center here, where you'll find all of the articles related to making a sale. So you can choose a general one. We have a specific one for Lightspeed payments, other ones for your iPad, and so on. Once you click on them, you will get some guides here. We're going to have some step-by-step on how to make a sale. Going down here. And sometimes we even get videos and screenshots to help you out. This is a great tool to train yourself, train your staff, but also to get to know more about any more advanced workflows you'd like to do that may not be seen during our webinars. Let's go back here. Now, this is a quick way to get to it. The other way to get to our Help Center is to click here on Go to Help Center to get to our main home page. Afterwards, through here, you can also contact our support team. So our support is available 24/7. So if you have any questions about Lightspeed Retail, Lightspeed Ecom, about the hardware you received, or just need some help right away, You can chat with them or you can call them. Sometimes, as you can see here, the chat will be unavailable. At this point, you can leave them a message or you can call them directly. Otherwise, you'll be able to chat with them directly through this page as we have available now. If ever you want to contact support, we recommend doing one thing first. If you need some help troubleshooting something and you want them to see your computer at the same time, you will need to have Splashtop installed, which is another software that we use in order to see your screen and to help you out right away from our support team. So ideally, install Splashtop as soon as you can on your computer. Next time you have to contact our support team, you'll have it directly. The last thing I'll mention here is if you need to contact our support team, they will also need your account ID, which you can find on the top here. And this will be your credentials from Lightspeed. All right, and let's get started now looking into our settings. So I'm going to be using the menu on the left-hand side here. If you want to use the same menu and you want to pin it down, there is a pin at the bottom that you can use to keep your menu available on the side at all times. Let's click on Settings. And first off, we're going to check our locations. There's some basic information we have to check and customize in here that I want to see. So let's click on the first option, Locations. Now in here, as you can see, I have two locations already added. If you're supposed to have more than one, you can see on the top here, you will have an additional button called Add Location. So if you're supposed to have multiple ones, feel free to add them up on top here. Once they're added, click on the name of that location to modify some details. By clicking here, we can modify our store name, the description of that store, and here modifying our addresses, phone numbers, and email addresses. So make sure in here that these are your professional email addresses and your store information and not your personal one. Once you're done modifying this information here, let's go back on top and let's click on Save Changes. And anytime you make any modifications, make sure to save your changes before leaving the page. Now we're going to go back to our location screen because we can customize a few more things. To do that, I'll be using the breadcrumbs located at the top here to go back one screen instead of using the browser arrow. I'll click on Locations to go back one step. Now let's go on the right-hand side and click on Customize on the location of your choice. First thing you need to make sure here is that your time zone is correct, as this will affect your sales and your report information as well. So first thing to do, modify the time zone. Scrolling down here, this is for those of you who plan on using our work orders and service. If you have a specific service rate hourly, you can indicate it here right away. And in your work orders, you'll be able to choose how many hours a certain service took you and what that price would be equal to. We won't be going through services and work orders in these webinars, but if you have any questions regarding work orders, feel free to either go in the Help Center, we have great articles about these, or just ask us during a one-on-one consultation and we can guide you through it. Now we're going to use a small menu we have on the left-hand side here, and I'm going to go to the registers. Now I currently have 3 set up, but let's delete one so we can see how to add a new one. Right now, as you can see at the bottom, I have 2 registers created. In your account, if you haven't touched this page yet, you should have one register called Register 1 at the bottom, which of course feel free to modify the name directly here. To add another register, we'll go on the top and write the name of, in my case, that 3rd register. And click on Add. If you've reached your maximum amount of registers but that you need more, please contact our support team and they can increase your maximum number of registers if needed. Second step, we're going to go to our receipt setup. In here is where you can modify how your receipts are going to look to your customers. First thing, we have the header. If I leave this blank here, the receipts will automatically be showing my shop name, address, and phone number on the top of that receipt. If you want anything else showing, feel free to fill that up with more information, and anything you put in the header section will become then the new header of your receipts. Going down here, we have the footer information, which is usually a return policy or other information located at the bottom of the receipt. And finally, the work order agreement for those of you who want to use the service tab. If you have a specific agreement about your repairs or your services, you can write it down here to be only written on the work orders that you make. Once you're done, once again, save your changes. The last thing we can add on our receipt is a logo. To do that, we're going to go back all the way to our settings. And we're going to click on the company branding. In here, we're going to click on logo. And this will be applied automatically to our receipts, our lock screens, and the iPad if you're using any. In here, you can upload it, and if ever you need some help with knowing what kind of format you can upload, we have an article right here called Logo Tips and Tricks to help you upload the right format. You can do the same with a custom background if you'd like, especially for sales on the iPad. This is a background that will be showing, so you can also upload your own background here, like I did, and save it by clicking on the Done button. Let's take a look at how to create some employees. We're going to stay in our settings section. And we're going to start with modifying the type of roles that we can give to our employees. Creating an employee in the system consists of two steps. Number one is making sure that the roles you have are appropriate and your employees will have the right authorizations. And the second step is to create an account for them with credentials for them to log into the system on their own. Let's start with customizing the type of roles that we can give to our employees. We're going to scroll down to the Advanced Setup section and click on Employee Roles. From here, we have 4 roles that are created by default: the admin, associate, manager, and owner. Associate is usually given to a salesperson or a cashier. Let's go click into it and modify the permissions. In here, as you can see, we have little check marks for every permission possible in the system that we can choose to give or not to give. A good example is my cashiers are not allowed to do refunds. Therefore, I would remove the check mark here next to refund. And same thing for every permission you want to give or remove, you will be using those check marks. Once you're done customizing, you'll go all the way to the top and save your changes. We're going to go back to my roles here. If you would like to have your own custom role for your employees, we can click on a new employee role on the top right to go create a new one. So I'm going to give access here to my inventory manager 2. I have 2 different ones. I'm going to give them the external login. This is to ensure that they can log in by themselves once I give them some credentials. I do not want them to have access to anything else in here. And they will not be doing any sales, so I'm going to leave out the sales portion. I do need them to have a lot of access to the inventory, so I'm going to click on the top here to give access to basically everything. And I will make sure that they should have access to everything I checked. All right, and then I think we're good for my inventory managers. That's all they'll be needing. I'll scroll all the way back up and save my changes. And you can do that with any role that you'd like to create in the system. Once you've created and customized these roles, let's go back to our settings and let's create an account for our employees. We'll start with the employee setup here. As you can see, I have 3 employees already created. Now, if you haven't touched this part of your account yet, on the first line of your account, you will see It will be called unnamed record right here, and the role will be owner. This is your own account that you can go into to add your own name and your own information. To create a brand new employee, let's click on the new employee on the top right. We'll start with first name, last name. So I'm going to create Jessica Day, and she will be my inventory manager too. From here, we can also add a phone number, we can add an address and an email. This is all internal information for yourself. This is not related to how Jessica is going to log in. So feel free to add any information that you need here for your own reasons. Now let's save our changes. And if you have multiple locations, you can also restrict the access. So right now, Jessica has access to both of my locations, but I'm going to restrict that as she will be only working in my Toronto store. I'll remove access to all, click on Edit, and I'll remove the Montreal location so she only has access to my Toronto inventory. And click on Save. Now, we have a second step that we have to go through if we want Jessica to be able to log in by herself. To do that, let's use the little menu we have on the left-hand side. And the menu appeared after saving our changes. So if you don't see it, save your changes. Let's click on Sign In. And right here, we're going to give them their email address and a password. So let's put Jessica's email. And this will ensure that if ever Jessica forgets her email address, she can reset it using her email address here. She can reset her password to access Lightspeed. And we have our passwords, which you can see here. We have a few things that we have to do. They must at least be 10 characters long, they must be hard to guess, and they must match. Let's go add a password. And once they match, let's go save our changes right away. Perfect. As we can see from here, everything has been saved. So I will not go back in here and add a new password unless Jessica forgets her password and she's not able to reset it by herself. Under the lock screen section, this is where we can add a PIN. A PIN is usually a 3 to 4 numbers long quick code that your employees will be able to put in the system to clock in, for example, to track their hours, but also for a few other permissions that we can do, such as tracking commission. If you would like them to have a PIN, we'll click on PIN active and put a 3 or 4 number digit and save our changes. Now everything has been saved. If I go back to my list of employees, I can see here that Jessica is all the way down here. She has a PIN and she can externally log in using the email I provided as well as the password. And that's how we create employees in Lightspeed Retail. Next, I mentioned that we could use a PIN for different purposes. And the number one reason to use a PIN is to be able to clock in and clock out of the system and keeping track of your employees' hours. Now, if you would like to have this option to be able to clock in their hours, we'll go under our settings and scroll all the way down to our optional modules. From here, you will activate the time clock option by toggling this on. And same thing for the service tab. If you'd like to enable it, you'll toggle this on as well. For loyalty, don't worry about that right now. If you have purchased loyalty, you will get a specific training on how to set up your loyalty account. Once you have toggled these on, click on Save Changes and you will have to log out and log back in to see those changes appear. Once you've done so, you will see this Out button, which is how you'll be clocking in and clocking out and your employees as well. You'll be seeing that more in action in the next webinar. Let's go back to our settings and let's check some of the general options we have access to. First thing here that is really important is to make sure that you have chosen the right location. And if you are in Canada, that you choose the right location associated with the way your taxes are set up. So if you are in Quebec, for example, you need to make sure that you select the GST plus PST option. Compared to if you are in Ontario, you will have the HST option, the Harmonized State Sales Tax. If you are anywhere else in the world, then you can select your country and you will be good to go. Going down here, there is an option to automatically publish to e-com. So this is if you would like all of your inventory that you are creating on the retail side here to move over to your e-com. What this will do is that all of the items that you create, the pictures that you add, the prices, will move over to your e-com account. This setting will not publish to your customers on the website. You will have a specific training to set up your website and to make the items visible on the website. But this will transfer the data over to your e-com. If you're not going to be selling all of the items on e-com, then we can leave this checked off, and then I will show you once we go through item creation how to choose if they will be published to your e-com or not. Under access here, you can choose if the system will automatically sign you out after a certain number of minutes, and the same thing if the system will ask you to verify your PIN after a number of minutes. The sign out will completely sign you out, so you will need to have your email and your password handy. But the verify PIN delay is a great one to set up if you have a very busy store. So if there's a lot of people that might be coming in behind your cash register and you want to make sure that they don't have access to your account at all times, we can write, for example, we'd like to have a 15 minutes check. So after 15 minutes of not using the system, this will lock and will ask for a PIN to log back in. That way, it's a quick way for you to do so by using your 3 or 4-digit PIN that you set up for yourself. Finally, we have a few other settings that we can set up here. One of the most important ones, if you are tracking commission, this setting might be helpful. This will require a PIN before each sale. So every time we try to make a new sale, this will ask us for the PIN, and this will identify who is the employee who is making that sale. Afterwards, feel free to go through all of the other settings that we have down here. Some of them may be helpful to you when you have some time. We'll scroll back up and we'll save our changes. Perfect. Last couple things for us to see is how to set up your taxes and your discounts. Let's start with your taxes. You're going to put your default sales tax under the sales taxes option here. Let's click on it. And let's select my first one here, my Quebec sales tax. Here, depending on if you are somewhere where we have two different taxes or one, you might see one line or two. If you have one line, then put your overall tax in it. If you have two lines, you can separate it like I do here with your provincial tax and your federal tax. Once that's done, go ahead and save your changes, and this will be the tax automatically applied to your transactions. Now, if you have different taxes according to your items that you are selling, for example, you carry children's clothing and they have to be taxed at 5% instead of 15%. We have to set that up another way. We will leave our default sales tax the way it is, and we'll go create a tax class. To do that, let's go back to our settings and go into the tax classes. Let's create a new tax class, and we'll call that children's clothing, and save our changes. And this can be for anything. Children's clothing is one that may be taxed differently. Some luxury items may be taxed differently. Nicotine products, all of these would be considered a tax class if the tax changes according to the type of item that it is. Once it's created, let's go back to our settings, back to our sales taxes, and back to my Quebec sales tax. On the right-hand side, we're going to select the tax class now. So I have my children's clothing that we just created, where it only charges federal tax. So it's my 5%. And click on Add New Rates. This is also important if you charge labor. If you do any services or labor charges, we have a class already created for you that is called labor. You can go select that and indicate what the tax is for your labor services. So I'll put that it's 7%, 5 and 2, and add my new rates. And we can do that with as many classes as we wish here. Once we go through our item creation, I will show you how to keep it to your default sales tax or how to assign it to a different tax class to make sure that the right rate is being charged at checkout. The last thing we'll go through in our settings for today is the discounts. There are two types of discounts that we can create in the system. Number one is our basic discounts that we'll be going through today to manually apply them at checkout. The second one is called price and discount rules, and this is for an automatic discount to be applied at checkout. If you're curious about these, we do have great articles on them. Otherwise, feel free to ask us during a one-on-one consultation, and we can tell you more about them and show you how it works. For now, let's click on our discounts. And the reason why we are seeing this in this webinar is because our discounts have to be set up in our settings before they can be applied into a sale. To create a new discount, we'll click on the New Discount on the top right. We're going to choose the type of discount that this is. Is it a fixed discount? And a fixed discount would be a dollar amount, and this can only be applied to individual items in your sale, compared to a percentage discount that can be applied to individual items in the sale or the entire sale. We'll select percentage. This one, I'm going to call it Family and Friends Discount, and it's going to be 15% off. I can also choose to require a customer. This means that I have to have an account created for the customer I'm giving this to in order to give them that discount. If this can be given to anyone, you want to leave this checkbox empty. And save your changes. And continue on here to create more discounts for you to select at checkout. And this will give you a good bank to get started with. We are now done with our first section of this webinar, and we're going to continue now looking at how to create our inventory. So I'm going to use my menu on the left-hand side and click on Inventory. Let's see how we can create some categories. So categories are made to organize our inventory and to make sure that everything is where it belongs. This will help you to look up your inventory, but also to generate a report based on these categories. Let's go take a look. We're going to scroll down and go to Categories. And here, as you can see, I have quite a bit of categories created. I have some main categories, some subcategories, lots of them to organize my inventory in a way that makes sense to me. This is also a way of my customers to shop. So these categories can also become your menu on your e-commerce site to select the items that your customers would like to select. If I give you a quick preview, let's go to my e-com and let's take a look at my website. These on top are main categories, and these are subcategories that I can go into to select specific items. So if I go into my lip products, look for my lip balms, you'll see here my lip balms popping up because these are part of this category. And if I click on it, I'll be able to select it. This is why having clear categories can also help you at the same time start working on your ecom. Let's go back to our categories section. We'll go back to the inventory and categories. To create your own, let's click on a new category on the top right. In here, we're going to add our category name. So let's call this one accessories and save my changes. Within my accessories, I have gloves, hats, scarves, and jewelry. Oops. And so I can add these subcategories here to detail what I have. Now, if I want to be even more detailed, I can go under the jewelry section, for example, and I can go detail this. For example, I have rings. I have necklaces and bracelets. And we can do that for every subcategory we created. We could go back into them, click into them, and detail some more. If we go back to my categories now, you will see my accessories category with all the subcategories and sub-subcategories. Now, ideally, you want to keep it to this level, meaning 3 levels deep. Some main categories, some subcategories, and some sub-subcategories. That is 3 levels deep. If I were to detail even more my necklaces, then I get into sometimes overcomplicating. You want to keep it simple for yourself, but especially if you have Lightspeed Ecom, only 3 categories deep will move over. So if I were to detail my necklaces even more, that last section wouldn't move over to my ecom. Once these are created, let's go and create some items. We have 3 ways of creating items in the system. The first one is to create a new regular item that doesn't come in any variants. The second one is to create a matrix, which is for items that do have variants, like different sizes, different colors, different styles. And finally, we can import items through a spreadsheet. We'll start with creating a regular new item. Let's click on it. And so we'll start here with a description of the item. So what's the title of your item? We'll do a cleansing aloe shampoo. I can add a quantity here as well. So I currently have 5 in stock. The type of item that I have here is a single because I sell 1 at a time. Now we also have different types of items. We have boxes. So for example, if you sell a 6-pack of Coca-Cola, this would be a box. We also have assemblies. So an assembly would be, for example, pulling different items in your inventory to make them into one. This would be great for a gift basket, for example. If I were doing a gift basket containing a shampoo, conditioner, and a bath bomb, this would be an assembly because I would be pulling from different items in my inventory to make up one assembly. And then finally, a non-inventory item. This is used for any fees that you have to charge where you don't have a physical item. Shipping fees, for example, or for labor or services that you're charging. This would also be a non-inventory item. In our case, this is still a single. If your item has a serial number, if you sell bikes, for example, coffee machines, computers, and that they have serial numbers, you can click on this box to enter serial numbers later on. In my case, this is not serialized. Let's go back here to the IDs. So we have 4 different types of IDs here that we can enter. A UPC, which is usually a 12-digit number that appears on the item, like so. EAN is usually for European products, and they usually have 13 digits. We also have a field for custom SKU and a manufacturer SKU. So if you have any SKUs to keep track of or to scan that have certain numbers, other characters, letters in them, this would be either a custom SKU or manufacturer SKU. And these fields, you can put anything in them. The limit is very high. So my manufacturer SKU for this could be this one here. And of course, I could have a separate custom SKU if I wanted to. If ever you don't have any SKUs for your items, the system will provide a system ID. So once we save our changes, we will see an ID appear here, which we can also print labels from. So don't worry if you don't have any SKUs, you don't have to. Going down here to categories. Right now it's assigned to no category, but let's put it into one. I'm going to go into this none button here. And we're going to go add this into hair products and shampoo. We're going to go enter a brand. So this is going to be my, Lavender and Co. Handmade. And if I have any tags for it, so a tag is a way to link multiple items together that have something in common. This is an internal tag. So this is only for you to look for your products or to generate a report based on this tag. In my case, I could be looking at how my aloe products are doing. If so, I can have a tag for aloe. Maybe this is part of my summer 2023 collection, at which point I'll write summer 2023, and so on here. Here is where we can choose if we would like this item to be published on our e-com. If you want to, you'll check this box. If not, you'll leave it removed. Going back up here to default prices. This is your selling price here. So this shampoo goes for $34.99. My MSRP is the same and my online price will be the same, but we can modify that, of course. Will any discounts be allowed on this item? Yes or no? Is it taxable? Yes or no? And the tax class associated. So remember earlier we created a labor tax class, we had another one for children's clothing. I could assign that to the right tax directly or leave it to my item, which is my default sales tax. Into default cost, this is how much I pay to my manufacturer for this item. So I pay $15. And who is my vendor? I can go type it in here and create it or look for it if it already exists. Finally, we also have reorder points and levels. So a reorder point is the lowest point you want to get to quantity-wise for this item. And level is your desired inventory level. So my point would be, when I'm down to 5, I want to reorder 5. So my level would be at 10. If I'm down to 5, I need to reorder 5. But if I'm lower than that, if I'm at 2, I would need to reorder 10 to get back to my level. And this can be assigned to multiple locations, as we see here. Let's save our changes. And now that they've been saved, you can see my current quantity, my system ID, and I can print a label directly from here as well. Let's continue now with creating an item that has multiple variants, which is called a matrix. We're going to go back to our inventory. And the first thing I want to do is to make sure that I have the right matrix attribute sets. These are a way for me to choose what variant is going to come in. Let's go under the inventory and check our matrix attribute sets here. The system creates 4 by default. You will have a random 3 attributes that you can give whatever names you would like to have. We also have just one for items with different colors, items with different colors and sizes, or just different sizes. As you can see down here, I also created some custom ones. I have one called color, size, and design, color, size, and fabric, flavor, and scent and size. If you want to create any of these for yourself, we can click on a new attribute set here and give this a name. This one is just going to be scent. We're going to choose how many attributes they come in. In my case, this is only one attribute. And the attribute will be called scent. And save my changes. And you can do that for as many custom matrix attribute sets as you'd like. Now let's go back to our inventory and let's go create our item that will be a matrix. We'll go into the matrix section and click on a new matrix. All right, for this one, let's go create a t-shirt. This is going to be my basic t-shirt. I will not put the sizes or the colors here now. I will leave it the way it is. My type for this one is single. I still sell one at a time and it is not serialized. This will go into my category called women's clothing and tops and t-shirts. My brand for this one is Adidas and my vendor is Lavender & Co. Supplies. It is taxable at my default tax class, so I will leave it the way it is. Now in my case, all my t-shirts will be the same price, so I can go indicate here what the price will be for all of them. But if you have some items that will vary in price according to size, design, or color, we can, after we create all of these items, adjust the price for individual sizes or colors. In my case, this one will go for $20, and my cost is 10. Here, we're going to go and select the attributes we're going to be using. So in this case, this is the right one. I'm using different colors and sizes, but you can select any one that we have created earlier. Let's keep it to color and size and save my changes. Once we saved, we'll see two columns appear here for different colors and different sizes. This t-shirt will come in black, will come in white, pink, and lavender. I have to keep it with the name of my store. Now, sizes will go to small, medium, and large. Now, the more that you write, the more it will let you add attributes. So don't worry if you have more than 4 or 5. The more I add, the more I will be able to add. Once we're done, we save our changes one more time. And now we'll click into the matrix button that just appeared after saving. From here, you will choose if you want all the colors to come in all the sizes, or maybe you don't carry all the colors and all the sizes. If I have all of these sizes and all of these colors, I can click on Generate All Matrix Items. If not, we can click on each of them individually to go create them. Let's go generate them all. And now all of these items have been created by default with a stock of 0. Let's go back to my setup here. And once we scroll down, you can see here how we can adjust quickly our prices, individual tags, and individual SKUs for all of these items. So if the black medium goes for $22 instead of $20, I will adjust this here. The lavender is a bit more pricey. It will be $25, and I will adjust that here. And so on here to add my SKUs such as UPC, EAN, custom SKUs, manufacturer SKUs for all of these items. Otherwise, all of them still do get a system ID, which I can print labels off of. If I want to see a bigger view of all of these items, I can go into my inventory, into my item search, and let's look for my basic t-shirt. Here you can see all of them have their own individual names here. I can go click on this one and I can adjust everything about it. And from here, of course, you can print a label, you can add images, and so on. Finally, let's go take a look at how to do an import to create our items. We'll go back to the inventory and we'll go find the templates to see how to create the import file. To do so, let's click on Import Items and click on New Import on the top right. At the bottom here, you will see Start with a template, and you can download this directly to have the template on your computer. Now let's open it up. So this is what the template will look like. You'll have a few items to show you how to create them and all the fields you may need to use. Let's go one by one here and take a look at how to fill these up. We'll take an example. I will remove these two here because I don't need them at this time. We'll start first with how to create an item that does not have variance, a regular single item that is not a matrix. The name of it will go under description here. So I'm going to create my new honey and shea butter body scrub. So this is my description here. System ID, this is only generated once the item is created in the system, so we'll remove this column. My UPC, we'll put it here. My EAN, like this. My custom SKU, or manufacturer SKU here, and we'll keep it this way. I'm going to write down the name of my vendor, and this does not need to be created previously. If you add it here, this will create the vendor in your account. If it's already created, it will match it with the correct one. I'm also going to be adding my vendor ID. Now this is very important to have the vendor ID, which is usually the unique SKU, the style number, the unique SKU of your item. Very important to have this if you also have a vendor cost associated. If you don't have a vendor ID, you can leave the vendor ID empty as well as the vendor costs and only indicate your cost into the default cost section to avoid having errors. If you do have a vendor ID, let's go put it here. Like so. And my vendor cost is 10 for this one. Here you can choose, is it going to be your default vendor? So in my case, is Lavender & Co. my default vendor for this item? Yes. My brand for this one is going to be handmade skincare. My cost is the same under default cost, so I will leave it to 10. And my price, this one goes for 20. And I have the same MSRP and online price. Now this item is not a matrix, so I will leave everything here empty for this row. Is it discountable? Yes. Is it taxable? Yes. So here it's a yes or no field. My tax class, if it's your default tax, this will be item. Item type, default equals single. You can also write single, both are okay. If all of your items are going to be single and you're not importing any boxes, assembly, or non-inventory items, feel free to delete that column and it will import them by default as a single item. Do you want to publish this on your e-com? Yes or no? Is it serialized? Yes or no? Which category does it go into? Now in this case, my category for this one is body care, and it will go under scrubs for my first subcategory. And so this is the same here. If the categories are created, this will fit them into the correct categories in your account. If they're not created, this will create them for you. I don't have any more subcategories that I'll be using, so I'm gonna be removing these columns here. And feel free to do that with any column you're not importing. Delete the columns right away. There is no existing tags for these items in the system, so let's delete this column as well. And now I can also add some tags. So this one is a honey product, so I want a tag for honey for my own resources. If I wanted to put different tags, I want the honey, but I also want the shea butter, I just have to put a comma, and now I can create a second one called shea butter, and so on. Do you want a note about this item? And is this an internal note? So if we want to write a note and that note to be displayed on our receipts, we can write a yes here, and the note will be displayed under the item on the receipts when it's sold. If you want to put an internal note like this one, we can keep it, but I'll say that display note is no. It's only an internal note. Is this item archived? No. I am importing a brand new item. I'm going to remove the archive column completely to only archive fresh items. And here you can choose to import some images if you'd like. To import those images, first they have to be saved on your computer. Second, you will have to copy and paste exactly the name under which they are saved on your computer. Finally, at the end of the import, if it is expecting any images, you will have to drag and drop them in order to add them on. If you'd rather add images later manually or not add images at all, feel free to remove all the images from here directly. Finally, our quantity on hand. So this one I have 5 on hand in Montreal and I have 7 in Toronto. Unit cost has to do with these specific quantities. So these 5 here for Montreal, I actually paid them $9 because I had a discount. But for Toronto, I paid them 10. So this unit cost section is really related to the quantity on hand. If you're not importing quantities at the same time, feel free to remove the quantity on hand columns as well as the unit cost columns. Finishing here with reordering points and levels. So like we saw earlier, I will set my reordering point at 5 for Montreal, at 6 for Toronto, and my reordering level at 10 for Montreal and 12 for Toronto. This is for a single item to be imported. Now let's go back, because creating a matrix is a little bit different. Our matrix item, the name of the matrix, will not go here. Description will be left empty for all the matrix items that you are importing. Now let's fill this up for my matrix items. We'll start with the name of them. The name of the matrix will go here under matrix description. For this one, I'm going to be importing some print t-shirts. So let's go in here, and I'm going to call this one print t-shirt. I'm going to have a lot of t-shirts, so I'm going to take this, I'm going to add a few more rows. And I will drag the name of my print t-shirt across all the different ones I'm going to have. They will all come in different colors and sizes, and this is an attribute set that exists in my system, so I'm good to go. If you want to use another matrix attribute set, go back in your inventory under matrix attribute sets and copy and paste exactly how you created it or how it's created in the system to avoid any errors. Now I have the black shirts that comes in small. I also have the same shirt that is black but comes in medium and large. And continue here writing down more colors. I have the white one in small, medium, and large. And finally the red one in small, medium, and large. And continue on until all of your variants have their own row. And then, of course, we can customize the rows with all the prices for the matrix items, all the discountable information, taxable, all of the same rows will complete. The only difference is we're going to keep the first here description empty. Once the file is created and we are ready to import, let's try it out together. We're going to go back under the inventory section into import items. Click on a new import and we will create new items only. We'll choose the file and we'll scroll down to make sure everything has been mapped correctly. So description will go under description, UPC under UPC, vendor under vendor, and so on here just to check that everything is going into the right place. Sometimes some things are skipped. Now, I don't have any serialized items, so it's okay if it's skipping this column for me. But if this was an important column, I would have to unskip it and select the column that this would go into, which is serialized. Once everything looks good, scroll back all the way up, click on Review Import. At this point, it's going to be checking my file for any errors, and as we can see, I currently have one error to fix. Let's download it, and let's fix my error. So it seems that I made a mistake because the description for my print t-shirt, I actually put it under description, but then I put it under matrix description. And that's a big error that we cannot make because the system doesn't know whether it's a matrix or not. And as you can see, it's telling me how to fix it. The error is description is provided for a matrix item. My fix, remove description, item description must be empty for matrix items. So I can go ahead and remove it. I can delete these two columns here. And I can try to re-import it. So let's go back. I'm going to cancel this one out and I will retry my import. Click on New Import. Create new items only. Choose a file. I'm going to go ahead and match them again. They should be good for now because I imported the same file earlier. Perfect. Everything is mapped correctly. Let's scroll back up and review my import. Perfect. No errors have been found. 10 new items can be created. Number of new manufacturers, new categories, and just a preview of what my items will look like. Then click on Import Items. And we're good to go. All these items have been created and there they are underneath with the descriptions, all their SKUs, prices, and brands. We have now completed our first webinar. Congratulations! Your next step will be to go to the front end webinar. This might be already scheduled, or if it's not, your launch coordinators will be reaching out in the next couple of days to book it with you. Finally, you will also have the one-on-one consultation after attending your front-end webinar. Just a reminder that there is no preset agenda for this consultation. It's up to you to bring any questions that you have, any recommendations that you need for us to help you during this time. And then you'll be able to go live with this system and start training on any add-ons like ecom, loyalty, and finally, analytics. This session has been recorded, so you'll receive a copy of the webinar after you've attended it, and you'll be able to rewatch it and share it with your staff. Thank you so much for attending this webinar today, and we'll pass it off to the Q&A.